Ain't going back, not gonna buy into all that. Hey, hey, ain't gonna hide, gonna let all the fears slide. Got Mother Nature is on my side. Got a whole of the loving growing inside.
If you don't know much about Campbell, while he's coming in, he is an alternative historian. As his main channel, Didactic, states, a teacher of self, to be self-taught, allowing you to pick up what you need to pick up for yourself, by yourself, and through your efforts. Campbell and I have been communicating. Oh, there he is. Coming on.
Hello.
Let's see what's going on here with Campbell. He seems to be at the side. Where am I? Okay. Okay. I'm back. Let's bring Campbell. Campbell, can you turn your camera on for us?
Is it on now?
No.
I can see me. Gosh.
Okay, I can see you in the corner here, and I can see myself. I'm not sure why you're hanging out in the corner here. Maybe Rial, if you're still here and watching, you can help us get him centered. Let me just see something here. Oh, one of the Okay, I see you, which is better than seeing me right now. We've seen you for the last couple of hours. Campbell, hello, how are you? Welcome to the show. I'm delighted to see you here.
Good, good. How you going? Oh, my camera's going weird. All right, there we go. Yes, Lorenzo, hello. Hello, everyone in chat.
Perfect.
How are you all?
So Campbell, maybe you can give our viewers who may not have seen you before a bit of background, a bit of what's going on, and bring them up to speed on what it is that you do, why you do it, and welcome to the show.
Yes, thank you for having me. Yes, I'm Campbell. I have a couple of channels. Most of my work's done on YouTube, so I have a channel called, well, a couple of channels called Autodidactic, which I look into alternative history and the story that we've been given about who we are and where we've come from and what's gone on in the past. And once you start looking into that, it's very clear that, the story we're given isn't the truth. It's his story. It's not our story. It's, as we know, history is written by the winners. So that's what I look into. And we've found some very, very interesting things along that journey. I do have another smaller channel too, where I cover self-improvement type of stuff, spirituality, which is called Spiral Up. So go check that out as well. But yeah, I think today we're going to have a bit of a chat about history and really what's out there and what they've, it's like everything they do to us. It's just been covered up, changed and inverted to make us feel weak, basically, to make us think that we're not the power. And it's the same that they do with everything. And yes, so our story has definitely been changed. Oh, should I just keep going? Can you hear me?
Yes, please, just keep going. I mean, there might be some people seeing you here for the first time. I mean, we're here. Like I think, we're here at the new now. How do you become new? I think one of the ways you can become new is to understand your history, or the history presented to you, or what is real and what is not, at least in relation to your own personal life. And this will allow you to maybe make more intelligent choices for yourself. I watched Campbell for about a year before I decided to reach out. He graciously at the time returned one of my messages or emails, I forget which. Here we are chatting, and it's given me the opportunity through getting to know him and the people he's introducing me to, more about what it is I have seen and suspected all along, that our history is pretty much BS as it's been passed along through school and TV and media and movies. And who knows where we can go from there by picking up the threads of our own historical past and seeing where that takes us to our future.
Yeah, well, if you don't know if you don't know your history, you're bound to repeat it, right? We have all these people throughout, the past who tell us this, that we need to know our history and where we've come from. But in the education system, I actually, my whole sort of schooling life, I was always trying to find an ancient history class. And every single time they just throw me in history and teach me about war, World War I and World War II. And that's it. That's all they want you to know. And it's, this is more of the programming, right? They want us to think that we're these aggressive creatures and that all this war and that is us, that it's us going out and killing each other when it's not. The truth is we're manipulated into all this stuff by the story, by the history. They tell us we're all these different people and we're divided. And, we've only got to this place through killing each other and war. But nothing could be further from the truth. And so when you look around the world and any city that you live in, just go into the city and have a look around and you'll find that there's these old buildings everywhere. And, of course, they're doing their best to knock all these old buildings over. But these are the buildings with the columns, the domes, they look like they're made out of stone. They've always got stairs going up. And what we've found with these buildings is most of them seem to have windows that go into the ground, like literally into the ground. And through the research, we found that a lot of these buildings actually have levels under the ground, which aren't basements. These buildings were built, before cars. There's no car parks down there or anything. And a lot of these buildings have windows in them under the ground with glass in them and doors as well, wooden doors. And we find them a full story, 2 stories below the ground. And so what we're thinking, this is still a fairly new subject, but it looks like it's the remnants of some kind of flood, some kind of mud flood. We're calling it mud flood, but obviously mud gets pushed with a flood. So what we're finding is that, all these stories of, the flood and destruction and these big events, they seem to be a lot closer to us than we're told. History loves to push the past back and push it back into the past, because when they do that, they get more time to fill that timeline in to write a new story. But when you look into it, it looks like, because we're going through a reset right now. Klaus Schwab has told us it's the Great Reset. The truth is we go through a reset about every 200 years. And the last big one was in the 1800s. And it's a very, very story. We get the orphan children. Because in the 1880s, we have all these photos of cities, big cities, Chicago, London, Moscow, and there's no one there. They're empty. Like there's no one in these cities. And then 20 years later, they're full. And we also have this other phenomenon of cities that are blown up and destroyed by fire. Again, like Chicago, we've got all these great fires that we hear about, and they destroy these cities. But then 10 or 20 years later, these cities are fully rebuilt again. So there's something very strange going on with our past. And this is the thing, they'll never teach you about history. They'll never tell you about these things. They just always try and push it to the side and say, no, just focus on war. And it's just all programming us. With the old buildings as well, as far as we can find out, there was a society, a big, proper, fully functioning, worldwide society. And they built all these buildings that we see, and all these buildings ran on free energy. So this is another big thing, is they tell us that we had nothing, that we had no technology, that we had, we were just running around in the mud, basically. But the truth is we had free energy. And why would they stop that? Well, so that they can charge us for it. They charge us for the charge. It's all in the words, right? Excuse me. So... yeah, looking into history, the main thing that I find is they're really trying to change our story and what we believe of us. They want us to believe that we're these stupid, small, insignificant creatures that, evolved from monkeys and somehow, got somewhere. And then before we know it, we were building these huge buildings, but we didn't even have any tools. It's like the pyramids. They tell us, oh, yeah, no, it was built with with copper, copper chisels and all this kind of stuff. It just, the story just doesn't fit. It just does not fit. Yeah, so so there you go. Have we got any questions there? Or I can keep going. Power controllers, Archons, currency is circuit, blah, 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 blah. So, yeah. Should I keep going? I can talk about star forts, if anyone's heard of star forts. And of course, there's a lot of this info on YouTube if you just have a search for it. But we also have star forts, which are these things that we find all over the earth, everywhere. And these are these massive buildings. Now we're told they're for war. We're told that they're these forts, but they're these perfect geometric shapes that seem to mirror energy signatures like cymatics and things like this. And also when you look in churches, we have all these stained glass windows. They also, the round windows that you see, they also mirror cymatic patterns, which is an energy signature or a frequency. And of course, those windows are always above organs, which put out sound. And the star forts always have water running around them. So there was this big system that was built, and they were literally charging water with frequencies, running it through and underneath these cathedrals that we call cathedrals, and charging the water. And then they were also sending out frequencies from the cathedrals that were healing frequencies using the bells. So basically it's the opposite of what Jeanice was talking about with all the frequencies that are given out now and the radiation. It's all harmful. It's all attacking us. Now, the old civilization that was around, they were also sending out frequencies, but they were to help us, to heal us and to empower us. So this, at some point something's happened, obviously, and the old civilization has, lost. We've been taken over by these parasites, but I mean, clearly they're losing grip, and there's all this stuff going on. But I think when you look around, all the information that's coming out just in the last 5 years, it's happening for a reason. We're not in this position now in history with all this information for no reason. So as far as, the archons and the parasites and all this, it's us that have the power. This is why they spend so much time trying to tell us we don't have the power, because that's really their only weapon. Because as soon as we understand how powerful we are, they've got no chance at all. And really the only power they have is making us believe that they have power. And this is why they change history. We've always been ruled. We've always been the lower class. They've always been the kings, blah, blah, blah. They've always been in control. They've had to educate us because we're these, stupid little creatures. It's just a big joke. It's just a big story. And if we believe it, then they win. If we don't believe it and we start learning what our true story is, then they've lost and we get our world back. I mean, it's really that simple. And that's what's going on at the moment is, it's the fight, and everyone's waking up, and we can see what they're doing. Everything they're doing is to separate us, to shut our power down, and again, to teach us that we're ruled. We've got to do what we're told, right? Or else, Big Brother government will come in and smack us on the hand. So, yeah, it's the same story over and over again. When you look into history, it really does show you why we are here, but it also shows you it's the same playbook. They're still rewriting history now as we go. It's 1984, right? And what they called the Bureau of Rewriting or whatever it was. So don't believe the hype, guys. Kill the TV, read some books, look at the true story, because the more that you take in information from media, which is the Greek word for the goddess of illusion, Medea, the more, even if you think that it's crap, if you watch it, it's going into your mind, it's going into your subconscious, and this is how they get people. Before you know it, you'll be believing some of the rhetoric. So that's the main thing as well, is just make sure you got good sources of information coming in. Get as many types as you can, and that's obviously the whole autodidactic part of My channel name is, because autodidactic means to be self-educated. And my philosophy with that is you get as many points of view as you can. And you take them in, you don't judge them. You just go, that's interesting. And what happens is when you have them in your mind will do the work. It makes connections and things start to connect up. And when that happens, you start to get your own perspective. You know, you've got all this information, but you're looking at it through your perspective. You're not mirroring what someone else says. And so when you get information from one point of view or even two, all you're doing is repeating what someone else has already done. And so that's not thinking for yourself. That's repeating, which is what we're taught in school, right? Repeat, repeat, repeat. Oh, you didn't repeat that properly. Big red cross. Go sit in the corner. How dare you not just be a robot? Come on. I think you're about to think for yourself. That's not allowed. And this is the thing. We're taught to comply. That's all education is. They just teach you to be the person they want you to be, the good little citizen that complies and that says, yeah, please, you know, stick things in my arm. I believe that, you know, you're out here to help me. You know, tax me more, take more. So, yeah.
You know, Campbell and I, if anybody wants to further explore this, we've done, discussions on discernment, on integrity, on standing free, on following your heart, on your intuition. You know, these are all things that can, you know, if people are understanding how they can maybe, or asking how they can do more for themselves. I found personally, for me, it starts with yourself. You know, you see where your information is coming from. You see why you believe what you believe. You see where, the medical advice is coming. You see who it's coming from. Look in their eyes. That's something that still stands tall with me. You know, see those people on TV, the medical ones telling you what to do to your kids, your children, yourself. To me, they don't look very loving, kind, or caring, or generous, or anything of the kind. They look like, you know, masked monsters that want to come and gobble you up in the middle of the night from some of the horror stories I remember, you know, as a kid. I mean, or a child, you know, I don't want to say kid. It's another way they put words into our mouth. Kid, you know, a little goat. Like you know, as a young man will say at the time, you know, my mother was an orphan, you know, and I studied where she came from in Eastern Europe and where their history comes from. And even looking back on that myself, it seemed to end at my great-grandfather. Nobody knew anything before that. Didn't even know who my great-grandmother was, right? It only went back a couple hundred years to where supposedly this last reset came from. And very interesting to see that maybe everything that's been passed along to you is just a movie. Everything beyond maybe your own lifetime, you know, is just a story. You know, everything that they say is real is only as real as you believe it to be. You know, it's only as real as you choose it to be. And, you know, you can put everything together and everyone we've talked with today. And maybe that's one of the other ways you become a warrior for yourself is, you know, you start to be more discerning with where your information comes from and where you choose to place the importance of suggestions that come into your life, whether it's from a loving source, someone who cares, or the opposite, someone who's trying to get something from you.
Yeah. It's results. This is the thing, like if you're going to do something, you know, so many people so many people react instead of act. And they're not thinking of the results. You know, if I do this action or say this thing, what's it going to lead to? And when you think that way, it gives you that gap, and so you don't react anymore. You know, because you need that gap between, you know, receiving information and responding to it. Because and we see it at the moment now. So, you know, this whole triggered. People just get triggered. Someone says something to them, and they're just like, before you know, there's a screaming match and a fight. It's because they don't have that gap where they stop, think, well, I can respond this way, and this would happen. You know, I could call her a stupid bitch, and she'll probably punch me in the face. Or I can, you know, come from a different place and get a different result. And that's what we all need to do, because they just want us to be triggered. I mean, look at the protests. You know, they send in the police to these peaceful people to trigger them, to try and, you know, get them to react. This is what they're doing. And so we need to be better than that. We need to be smarter than that. And this, working on that gap in your thought is a big one. And that's got a lot to do with slowing your monkey mind down, which is, you know, meditation, breathing, spending alone time, you know, going into nature. Because, this is the world. It's not so much the world now, but with the whole job thing, everyone was just caught up in stress. Got to go to work, got to pay the bills. If I stop doing this, this will fall apart. If I stop doing this, this will fall apart. But that's not true either. Look at the stories. Everyone who finds themselves in that situation and says, well, this is crap, I'm going to, whatever, buy a bus and travel around the world, or I'm going to do this or that. They always do really well. Have you ever noticed that? 20 years later, everyone's at their house saying, how did you do this? How did you do this? You're so lucky. You're so lucky. And they're not lucky. They just made a different decision. They sat down and went, well, what are the results going to be if I keep going down this path? I'm going to end up there. Look around. I see these people in 20 years. I see what they are. They've got heart issues. They're unhealthy. They're unhappy. Or I could do something else and that'll give me a different result. I could say, stuff it. I could sell everything and go traveling. And this is the thing. And we really need to make these decisions for ourselves. And this is why collecting information, from as many points of view is so important. Because if you just listen to the mainstream and your friends and get their opinions, they'll all tell you the same thing. Don't do that. That's scary. Oh, no, don't go away from the norm. No. The government's here to help you. They're your safety net. Yeah, no, you'll fail if you do that. But when you look around and get more information and actually talk to people that have done it, different story. And when you get a different story and different information, you can make a different decision. And that will give you a different outcome. And so this is how it all works. It's not really it's not that hard. It's quite a simple thing. It's just the hardest thing is changing the program, because, that's why they throw us in school at, well, it used to be, sort of 5 or 6. Now they're trying to get it younger. And we have this saying, from the Jesuits, give me a child until they're 5 and I'll show you the man. What they're saying is I will program that person so that they grow into the person I want them to be. And this is what school is. So we've just got to get more information. If you've got young children, read to them, give them more information. I wouldn't even be, sending children to school anymore, especially with the masky mask. And this is a whole thing. That's a perfect example. Everyone will tell you you're crazy if you don't do that. But really? I've met kids that have never been to school, self-educated, homeschooled. They're the most intelligent people out there. They really are. Because they're told how to think. This is what they get taught, how to think, not what to think. And this is what education is. Literally, think this, and if you don't, big red cross, go sit in the corner, you're wrong. And don't question the teacher, or, worse things will happen to you. So
for sure, it's easy to say, hard to do, but even harder not to do, I found, for finding out what it is you need to find out for yourself and where you need to go. I've always hated school. I've always hated being told what to do. I've always disliked authority. Now I understand why. It used to get me angry when I was a little boy, being told by anybody how I should be or how I shouldn't be or how I should spend my time, how I shouldn't spend my time. And I never knew why these situations would get me angrier than they should, or looking at my friends, why I never fit in, or why I never wanted to do the same things as the cool kids. And, looking back into where I am today, I would say I'm the lucky one. I chose a different path. I chose to question things. I chose to ask. I chose to see. I chose to look. And, many years later, with lots and lots of help, here we are having these interactions. And, obviously there's been a lot of hiccups today. There's been a lot of feedback from some of the people there. There's been some bouncing around of sound and videos. We're doing this for the first time, and, mistakes and mistakes will come. As Campbell likes to say, there are no mistakes. He said that there are only mistakes, as in the movies. So, we're going to learn and grow.
Exactly.
And, what I'm seeing from this one, as I'm sharing with Campbell, is further events are going to be more focused. We'll do one on history, perhaps, one on children, one on homeschooling. We can do one on archons. I've seen there's someone in our chat that wants to talk about that, but perhaps we may leave that for another day. Get into the deep dive of the demonic energies that are playing the role that they seem to be playing on this planet, as Jeanice touched base upon as well. Campbell has done lots of his own research into that, as have I, and I have my opinions. But, one step at a time. You don't want to overload people with craziness they feel they can't handle. And it's the first thing that attracted me to Campbell, in that the easiest thing you can start with is to just question your history. Look around, see what's going on, you know, in the quiet of your own room, or in the quiet of your own house, or in the quiet of your own mind, you know, see what hasn't connected in relation to what you're told is true and what isn't. You know, I have a new eye for those buildings that Campbell talked about. You know, I'll go around downtown Toronto or downtown Vancouver, and I'll see these huge windows I didn't know before. They tore down an old building last time I visited Vancouver, where you couldn't see one wall for a long time, and then suddenly you could. There was this enormous door on the side of it, like 4 stories up. You know, way too big for a person, right? You're going like, what's that? Or even some of the Hudson's Bay old style shopping centers that are all over Canada. And you look and you see the enormous doors that have been cut in half. And they go, oh, that was the style of the day, right? Or windows underground, just the style of the day. And you're going, well, there must have been some pretty stupid people to make that the style of the day, for all the efforts that would have been put in that, you know, have built those sorts of structures that obviously don't make any sense if you pay some attention to what's being told to you about them.
Yeah, and there's no story to explain them that makes any kind of sense at all. But I think that's what you know, this whole warrior spirit is about, is learning who you are and having the courage to make a decision and stand by it. You know, don't be swayed. The problem, the reason why people can be swayed so easily is they haven't made a decision. You know, if you believe something, someone can't just come up and say, oh, well, what about this? And you go, oh, well, and change your mind. That means you haven't made a decision if you can be swayed. So it takes courage, and this is that whole warrior thing, is making a decision and standing by it, standing in your power, be immovable, you know, whatever it may be, you know, to do with, you know, whatever, you know, the medical system, education. If there's something you don't like, speak up, because the other thing they teach us at school is, you know, the first thing they teach us is spelling, right? Spelling, how to cast spells. Words are important. And of course, they you know, try and sort of change all the meanings as well. But just have a listen to the words you're saying and make sure that they are.
I'm going to be gone for a moment.
Good
Let's
spells.
talk about spelling for a little while longer. This is an interesting topic. I want to pick that up. I'll be right back.
Okay. Yeah. So spells, just be, you know, all this stuff. You know, because everything's electrical. This is the thing. When we go to an election, we go between the poles, right? The positive, negative poles, and then elect someone to power. You know, all this stuff is all through our language, but we don't pay attention to it. The word whole, H-O-L-E, is absence of anything, but W-H-O-L-E is everything. They're literally opposites, but they're the same word. We all, you know, obviously they're all these kinds of things, but words. Breakfast is 2 words put together. It's break fast. When you stop fasting, you start eating again. Breakfast, Christmas, all these things. So just start to become aware of the words you use as well. And this gets into the whole, you know, legal law, common law thing as well, which is obviously a completely new topic. But just the way you refer to yourself and the way that you speak to the law, basically, depending on what you say, will incriminate or not incriminate you. If you agree that you're a person, then they'll haul you off to jail. But if you're not a person, if you're a man or a woman, or if you're Campbell, then they can't touch you, because you're no longer an employee of the government. So words are extremely powerful, and the whole law thing is you know, we really do need to learn how to speak. Because there's 2 different languages. We speak to our friends in one way, which is fair enough. That's just a conversation of free speech, which we should. But then when we speak to authority, we're taught that we should speak the same way to them as we do to our friends. But that's wrong, because they're just trying to incriminate us. Because authority, we're talking about spelling, most of that word is author, right? Author, the ones who write the story. That's who authority is. And this goes back to the history, right? They're now writing the story because they're the authors, if we let them be. If we let them write the story and we acquiesce and we say, yes, we are the person, you know, we need a license, right, just to drive our car that we pay for on the road that we pay for. We've got to pay for that. So this persons do, but men and women don't. So there's so much. I mean, there's so much to this. I could go down so many different ways. Has anyone got any questions there? The law applies to persons. Yeah. Yeah. So that there's legal and there's lawful. Legal law is persons. Even children is a legal term, because children are born. So in court, if you've got, anything to do with children, they're your property. In the legal sense, they are your property. If you call them children, the government own them. This is the thing. And even though, and what it really comes down to is we've got to agree. Even, even though they'll try and trick us, in the end, if we don't agree, if we just stand there and understand that there's a different perspective and where did we agree, show me my signature, then they can't touch us. But you've got to know where you stand. You've got to first know what's going on and know your power and stand in your power and understand that no one gets to rule you. Like, no one gets to rule you. Because if you're in court and someone says, well, you've done this thing, but if there's no victim, there's no crime. So this is the thing. If you've got a speeding ticket and they say, well, you were driving your car, are you this name? And you say yes, well, then you can't do anything because you've agreed to their terms. But if you say no, I'm not, and they question you and you say, well, show me where I agreed, where's my signature, then this is the thing, there's no contract. So yeah, I mean, it's very much off the topic of spelling, but it all comes in. It's really, this is the way I see the world, is everything's just one thing. It's all the same. It's all the same. It's just in different versions. Education system is the same as media. It's the same as business. It's all the same. It's all run the same way. You've just got to look at it. They want us to think everything's different. Education is to, help, children become intelligent, and the health system is to, create health. But clearly we know that the education system makes people stupid, teaches them how not to think, and the medical system makes people sick. Look at what's going on at the moment. So everything's inverted, and if we get information, we can see that and we can make decisions based on that. But if we're going to just follow the narrative and follow the spell casting, get one point of view, then we're going to be, they're going to control us, that they will be the authors of our reality. And that's what they've done with history. Getting back to history, this is what they've done. They've rewritten it to put them in the position of power and us in the position of no power. And if we believe that, then it becomes true. Because, the truth is, with this whole, parasite, archon, demiurge thing going on, is they've only got one trick. They can't create it. We'll say it. Excuse me. It can't create. It's got no creativity. So it has to use us and steal all our ideas. And this is why we see all these, ideas and companies that come up, and they always get bought out by bigger companies and then changed. And this is because the Archon has to steal ideas and invert them. The only thing it can do is try and make us believe it. That's the only thing. It give out a story, and if we believe it, then it has power over us. If we don't, it doesn't. And that's really how simple it is. It's the belief thing. When you believe in something, you give it power. You focus on it. So if we focus on the TV, right? Look what's happening to people who focus on the TV, on the Archon story. They're going insane. They're going crazy because there's so much fear and stuff built into that one story, but they're also getting one point of view. And this is us. We're screaming at people saying, here's another point of view. Here's another point of view. But most people don't even want to look at it because they've been trained not to. They've been educated for 12 years. Don't ask questions. Just believe what we tell you. Then they go to the news, the same thing. Oh, look, if you believe something different, they're those crazy people, those fringe dwellers. Don't listen to them, or you'll be ostracized, right? Be with us, be part of the collective. And this is what it's all about. So courage is having the ability to see that and then say, I don't want to be a part of it. I'm not going to be a part of it, and standing on your own. Even, even if there's 100 people yelling at you, this is the thing. If that's going to sway you, then you haven't made a decision. It's, courage is standing by, having ethics and morals and standing by them. Being a real man. This is how society used to work. People used to have ethics and morals. Now they don't. Now people will sell their ethics and moral anything. I mean, look at what's going on in the US. You can get a free donut or McDonald's burger if you sell your DNA to the devil. It's just madness. And that would never happen if people valued themselves. If people understood that they were the power and that it stopped at them and that they were the creator and that, their point of view mattered and that it's theirs and that makes it, unique and special. If they knew all this stuff, they wouldn't sell out, their health for a hamburger. This is the thing. So it's a self-esteem thing when you get to it. This is the whole story is them telling us that we suck. You're bad little humans. You want to go and kill each other. Look at all the war you start. You're killing the environment. Oh my God, cutting down all the trees. But my response to that is, has anyone ever met anyone who wants to start a war? Like, have you ever met anyone who's like, yeah, wars are great. I want to start a war. I'd love to go to. No, because we don't start them. Unfortunately, what happens is we fall for the propaganda. It's humans out there killing humans. It's not the parasites. They're sitting back, rubbing their hands, going, he, feeding time. It's us. And so this, again, if we didn't believe that, if we got different points of view and went, well, maybe they're not the enemy. Maybe that country over there is just full of people like me, and it's really just our government's trying to get us to kill each other so that they can make money off the arms race and get more power, So it's all more information, more perspective, and stand by it. And also don't get locked into it. But understand that this is why there's a difference between belief, again, getting back to spells. Belief is something that's unchanging, right? If you believe it, you'll fight for it, fight to the death for it. But if it's just a perspective, then you can get new information and go, oh, okay, that makes sense. Maybe I'll, adjust that a bit, my perspective there. So, yes, that's basically it, guys. Get as many, different points of view as you can. Trust yourself, take them in, get your own perspective out of it and live through that perspective. Be that person because, people are what they do, not what they say. And we're in a world full of people who love to go around and say, I'm this, I'm that. But do they do it? Do they live like that? No. It's just signaling, right? SJW. So we need to get back to people who are what they do. You don't have to, if you want to tell me, you actually don't have to tell anyone. You don't have to make a big fuss. You don't have to make a social media post. You can actually just do it. And then people will notice you've done it. And it's like this whole forgiveness thing. When you forgive someone, it's not about getting that person to turn around and say, oh, thank you, and I forgive you too. It's got nothing to do with the other person at all. It's you forgiving that person. And if you're forgiving someone just to get a reaction, you're not forgiving them. You're not. You're lying to yourself. So we just need to be real, There's so much falsity and personas, and people build up, oh, I'm part of this crew, I'm part of that crew. Oh, I like this music, so I have to dye my hair this color and wear these clothes. And I mean, we need to be individuals. We need to be, get back to ourselves and be, individuals that, that come together and share the experience together rather than being this one collective that is steered, by one sort of brain, which is what they're trying to do now, or what the Archon, whatever you want to call it, is doing. Yeah, the insane brain.
Yep. Seeing things for yourself. I read a book a long time ago called Your Owner's Manual, which just basically showed when you forgive someone, whatever it is, you're basically forgiving the same actions in yourself that you've caused throughout your life, which may be why you're having that experience. Someone's being mean or insulting or overbearing or overruling or violent or what have you. I mean, if I'm honest, whenever I've looked at that coming at me and I said, whoa, how have I done that? not only do I not react, because it gives me an opportunity to stand back, as Campbell said, take a moment. When you act, you don't react to what's going on. And more importantly, it's giving me an opportunity to understand myself and to see where I've been mean, or to where I've been unloving, and to where I've been, rude, pushy. The list can go on and on and on as some of the horrible things that I've, perpetrated, let's say, on the people in my life, near and far, through my own unconscious actions over my life. And it's allowed me to gain humility, even now, that when I see someone maybe masking their babies, maybe using a cell phone, maybe eating too much, maybe doing too much drinking, maybe doing too much drugs. I mean, Jeanice is right in the consequences of it, but also I've seen that, I've been in their shoes often in my life. I've eaten too much, I've drank too much, I've used crazy technology, I've done too many drugs at one point or another. I've seen people talking about rolling big spliffs, which, medicine is great, but, if you use things to hide behind, then you're just hiding, right? And, when eventually you won't be drunk and you won't be stoned and you won't be angry, and then you'll be sober, and then, you'll still be there with yourself, looking at yourself, wondering what the fuck's going on. And because if you don't fix yourself, the same, let's say, lens that you're looking at the world through is still you. I mean, that's all we all have, regardless of anything else. You are that lens you see the world through. So if it's clear or not, or if it's full of garbage or not, if you're full of garbage or not, if you're drunk, you're going to see things drunkenly, right? If you're high, could relax you, but you'll still see things from a high perspective. And eventually, you'll have to figure out how to do that from a sober perspective if you want it to be lasting in your life, or so I've found.
Yeah. The world's a mirror. So basically, this is the law of attraction, right? What we give out, we get back. So what we, believe, or whatever our perspective is what our experience will be. It's like Lorenzo said, if your mind's full of, dirt and mess, and so you believe the world's out to get you, then all that you will see, this is the thing, it's not that the world's out to get you, but you will only see the bad things that tell you, yes, I'm right. Because the mind, the monkey mind, this is the monkey mind, the programmed mind that lies over the true you, that loves to prove that it's right. That's all it wants to do. Prove it's right. Yes, I'm right. I'm right. I'm right. And this is why people react and fight. You're wrong. You're wrong. And it's, if you want to fight for your limitations, well, you get to keep them. Go for it.
Then you'll get them.
But it just wants to prove itself right. Oh, sorry.
No, thank you so much, Campbell.
So if you're we're done. Okay. All right.
No, this is beautiful. If you want to argue for your limitations, if you want to argue for being angry, wrong, or what have you, you'll get it. I'm not sure if I was coming through before when Campbell was chatting. He froze on mine, but he didn't on the other tablet I have here. I just wanted to let everyone know this is an interesting system. I'm learning as we go along. It's an interesting platform for where we can communicate. Campbell had recommended to me off air just yesterday that if you have any questions that weren't reached in this conversation, to perhaps leave something in the chat. Our reception room is always going to be open 24/7 once we get off, so you can go in and chat with each other. I believe you're even able to have video chats. You can leave questions for the next time. We'll go in and look around. You can email people that are part of the system, and we're going to have, I'm hoping with Rial, who came on a little briefly earlier to tell us more about the system, some training videos, maybe even the next one, where whoever's interested, I know a lot of people have signed up to be here, and people seem to have come and gone all day, but we'll get together as possible for all of us. We'll see how to use the system. We'll learn how to play in this new way where we can be together. And if you're like me, it'll allow you to grow new friends, new perspectives, new ways to communicate, in other ways that we might be able to be happy, healthy, and free together. Campbell, is there anything you'd like to leave our viewers with on this?
I was just going to say in the chat, if you are talking to anyone that's close by, or who's not, start making connections. We understand we're sort of spread throughout the earth. We're not sort of in one group. So just connecting with like-minded people will do a lot, because we're all so separated. And I know a lot of people are having a hard time, especially if you're in an environment where you're the only person that that sees what's going on, and everyone else is of the opposite opinion. It can't be easy. So connect with people. There's lots of groups. There's, Telegram groups and all this kind of stuff out there, which is something else that, we can sort of look at. But excuse me. Big thank you to, Lorenzo for getting this together. And like he said, this is the first, the first run. So a few hiccups, but Lorenzo is going to be doing more in the future. I'll be here obviously if you ask me. So do support, this kind of work, because as we know, this is all done off, Lorenzo's back. We don't, get paid for this or anything. We're just doing it to try and make a difference. So support what you want, as they say, or else it disappears. Get people to watch this instead of the news and then get a different perspective.
Definitely a fun way to go and a fun way to be. We're going to try and make these regular. Eventually, maybe even into September, they may become weekly once we figure out all the hiccups and get together. So, if you've missed an opportunity to share right now, that's fine. You'll get a chance down the road. If you're kind, loving, and respectful, we're happy to have you on the air. My apologies to everyone who didn't get a chance to come on and chat today. But again, we're just figuring out the system. So come back next time, and you will be able to see, if you go to Agora.ca, go to the new Now Agora, you'll see Campbell's spot, all the other people that are participating, some that couldn't make it, some that will be here down the road. If there's anybody that wants to participate, or any business, event, informational creator, content creator is what I was trying to say, that wants and has some good ideas, please contact us. We're happy to see how we can work better together, because we are stronger together, I found, especially as I'm getting an opportunity to meet loving people across this world from one end to the other, who have an opportunity to share their loving, efforts with you, so that perhaps we can all grow more loving together.
Indeed.
All right.
We are the warriors of light, guys. We've got to stick together.
Yes. The intelligent of us have to. So I'm going to leave it here. I'm happy that I got to anchor it with Campbell, so to speak. We're going to go off the air soon. Anybody wants to continue on and leave messages in the chat, please do. I'm delighted to have you here. Thank you so much for all of your support and your efforts in being here. And as Cam would say, stay I'll let him say his ending here. I won't say it. Campbell.
Stay awesome, guys.
Stay beautiful.
Is that the one? Or
stay awesome.
Look inside yourself. Which channel are we on?
Yeah.
Look inside yourself, because there is greatness in there, and the world really needs you to bring it out at the moment.
Look inside, stay awesome, and then we'll all see how we can make a better world together. Thank you all very much. I hope to see you all again very soon. Cheers for now.
Thanks, guys.